The United States will trigger Article 5 for nuclear attack on Russia. The U.S. Senate has introduced a resolution proposing that actions by Russia, Belarus, or a Russian proxy be considered an attack on NATO if their actions lead to radioactive contamination of Allied territory. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham and Democrat Richard Blumenthal made the remarks at a press conference Thursday, June 22nd. While the U.S. has already warned Russia of dire consequences should the Kremlin routinely use nuclear weapons, this is the first time U.S. officials have said that also applies if Russia plans a nuclear accident at a civil nuclear facility. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Russia was reportedly preparing to carry out an attack on the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, which could lead to a radioactive leak. A radioactive leak would release a cloud that would reach the territory of NATO members. The Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant is under the control of the Russian-occupied forces. The senators noted that this is the first precedent since the collapse of the USSR that Russia has moved its nuclear weapons beyond its borders and poses a serious threat to global security amid the ongoing war in Ukraine. By deploying tactical nuclear weapons in Belarus, Russia is lowering its nuclear threshold, politicians and commentators said. Graham and Blumenthal suggested that any use of tactical nuclear weapons by the Russian Federation, Belarus, or a Russia proxy, or the destruction of nuclear facilities, which would lead to the entry of radioactive elements into the territory of NATO member countries and cause serious damage, must be considered an attack on the alliance and the reason for using Article 5. The threat of Russia using a nuclear device is real, and the best way to prevent that is to give them, the Russians, clarity about what will happen if they do, and our message is to those around Putin that if you do that, if you follow his orders, if he ever gives them, you can expect a massive response from NATO, and you will be at war with NATO, Graham said. This resolution is intended to send a message to Vladimir Putin, and even more directly to his military, that they will be destroyed, eviscerated if they routinely use nuclear weapons or destroy a nuclear plant in a way that threatens surrounding NATO nations. That is, Putin's military risks being completely wiped out by NATO forces if they are so reckless and irrational as to resort to tactical nuclear weapons, Senator Blumenthal said. The senator suggested that the Biden administration conduct appropriate consultations with the leaders of other allied countries and European partners and consider actions to minimize the threat to the civilian population and prepare a diplomatic and military response commensurate with the situation, they said. This is from Crime Study. I've translated this for you from a Greek article. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.